Southampton is the biggest and busiest port in the UK. And if you are starting a European cruise or maybe a transatlantic, there's a good chance that Southampton is either the beginning or the end of your itinerary. So, in this video today, I'm going to tell you about how to get from Southampton to London. And obviously, you can reverse that if that is what your cruise requires. So, welcome to Cruiseport Captain. If you're new here, me and my husband, we've been cruising for over 20 years. We've learned a lot as young cruisers, and we hope we can share with you what worked well, what didn't work well, so you potentially save time, money, and have more flexibility when you are in port. So, welcome to the channel, and we will get started. To say that Southampton is London is simply not true. This is one of those times when the cruise lines are offering a port and it's not really a port. You are over 2 hours away from London. It's not impossible to get there because obviously a lot of English people do it and millions of cruisers do it. But I want to just show you the map here to give you a sense of how far you are. So Southampton is obviously in the south, and that is taking you from the Queen Elizabeth II cruise port terminal all the way to London up on the right corner. So you're going east and you're going north. And by car, it takes 2 hours. So this one's a little more of a pickle of you can't really do it easy, but it's not impossible. And I'm going to tell you your options to do it. So you have a great plan when you're disembarking and you are going to go to London and have a fantastic time. We're going to start from the beginning, assuming that you are disembarking from Southampton and when we took our latest transatlantic, we did, and we were in the Queen Elizabeth II cruise terminal. So this information, it works whether you're leaving from Southampton going to London or you're in London and you need to go to Southampton to catch your ship. So it's simply just reversing what I say. But we started off in Queen Elizabeth II, and you can see the signs are really big and give you a few more perspectives. There are lots of signs you can see. We've got our little directional signs telling us which way you're going to point your way out. Way out means exit. Taxis, there's toilets all in the terminal, and you can see people are on their phones already planning how they're going to get to their next step. So very easy to get around. People are very nice. If you have any questions, just ask someone, and they'll be sure to help you. This picture is, I'm standing in the same spot. I just changed my view to look to the right, and you can see that's where the pickups are. They have Uber. It's a ride share. It's very easy if you want to take a taxi, but you need to take a credit card because there's a good chance that this might be your first English port. And England is still on the English pound, so you cannot use euros here. Just ask your taxi driver if they'll accept credit cards. So this is step one, is you have to get out of the terminal before you go to your next options to figure out how you're going to get to London. It's very common with the Europes. We're always going to start off with a train option. So you need to get from the port to Southampton Central. That is their main train station. It's a tiny station, but it is the main train station that's going to get you to the rest of England. And for reference, this is a tiny map to show you how far it is from the port to the train station. So we walked it, but that's because we weren't trying to catch a flight. We weren't trying to get to London as soon as possible. So we had time, but you can see by cars that it's 11 minutes. So it is, about 3 miles, 5K. Probably don't want to walk it if you have a lot of luggage, and just to give you a sense, but it's easy to get a ride to Central Station. Here I am at the train station. You can tell this is disembarkation day because I'm very tired. Look how tired I am. It's easy enough. So something that's kind of tricky about England right now is they decentralized their train system. So if you have to switch trains, you could be actually switching providers as well. So you can see here, I believe that's Southwest Railway, but you could switch to another line halfway through your journey. The great thing when you use the Trainline application is it will tell you exactly on your phone when you need to change trains and what line you're going to change to. it's so easy now to do all of this by your phone and pay by credit cards without having to exchange money. So that's what you want to do. Get on that train line app and pick out your um, time and destination. But as you can see, so I did this online too. You can go to trainline.com if you want to use your desktop to do it. The tickets themselves, so a standard one person ticket was $67. So it would look less because the exchange rate is favorable to the pound right now. So it would look less in pounds, but that's still quite a chunk of change. And then a first class ticket for one person is $147. So goes a little bit against our DIY cost efficiency, but we weren't going to London, and sometimes it is the best option. So it was the best option for us at this time. I only point out the first class ticket because it did help us. We didn't do first class tickets because that was really just kind of out of the question for us. But we did do standard tickets and we had reserved seating. And that reserved seating ended up being very handy, especially once we started going closer to the university towns and all these kids came onto the train and they took our spots, and we just pointed to the little reservation card that said, hey, that was our seat. No problems. They got up, not a worry, but it did make our journey much easier. The other thing I want to point out is when you are picking your time, you don't want to pick best case scenario that you're going to easily get off the ship right when they say you're going to get off the ship. You're going to find your bags and you're going to make all of these little steps happen in order that they need to happen so you can make that 9:25 train. You might make it, but if you've already purchased your tickets and you don't make that train, you're buying another train ticket. So really plan to make it leisurely so you're not panicked. I've done that before. You do not want to do that. So be mindful of how long it will logistically to take you to get off the ship, get your bags, and actually get to the train station. Your next option is to go by bus or coach, as they say in the UK. So riding a bus is very common in England and in Europe in general because they're just not as centric on their cars as we are in America. Now, I can't speak for Canada, but I'm guessing you're basically pretty much the same in this regard because you have so much beautiful wide open spaces. This is a very nice option if you are looking for kind of like a train, but much lighter and much less expensive. So a very good option is to do the coach. But beware, if you do decide to go the coach route, and I did find out that you can buy the tickets on trainline.com as well, you may not, it did not seem like you were actually going to the train station, that it was a different bus station. So just make sure your driver knows exactly where you're going so you don't end up in the wrong spot and then miss your bus. It's as easy as just telling your driver, hey, I'm going to go get the bus, and they will take you to the right spot. And here is what I mean by an economical option. Look at this. So if you might remember, the train ticket was $67 a person. For a one person to take the bus, not exactly the same experience, but a similar experience. It's 1850 pounds. I can't see that very well, but so that's going to be about $21. It might be a little more, a little less, depending on what the exchange rate is at the time. So potentially, like if it's two people and you're taking the train, $67 a person, you're talking about $140. Where if you do the bus route and it's two people, you're talking about $50. So it can be quite cost effective. The same thing to point out as with the trains is like, do not plan for best case scenario. Plan to give yourselves enough time so that you're not panicking how to get to the bus station to catch it. But there's another really great way to get from anywhere in Europe is to take the buses, or as they say locally, ride a coach. We work hard to give you all the options at Cruise Port Captain because we know everybody vacations differently or they have different needs. So you can hire a private car. That's not uncommon, but you are driving 2 hours. So as you can imagine, that if you are driving 2 hours, that might be quite costly. So The thing to watch here is, this is from Get Your Guide, the quote here is some of the vendors quoted per person and then some quoted per group. So if it's per group, the 323, and you have 6 people or 5 people, hey, that's not too bad, right? To get that concierge service. But that per person price, uh, it gets a little bit steeper. But it is an option, and it might be helpful if you have mobility challenges or you're a large party and it makes it a little harder to kind of travel on a train or bus. But we just wanted to point that out. So check out, we always use Get Your Guide or we use Viator. We don't have any affiliate links this time. They're just people that we've used and we've always had a good experience. And of course, your cruise line is going to offer transfers from Southampton, but you want to be sure, where does it end? So if it's ending at the airport and you're not going to the airport, you could be quite far away from the city. I want to say if you take the one that goes to Gatwick, Gatwick is quite far from central London. So you're still going to have another trip ahead of you to get you to the central city. Heathrow, I'm not sure exactly how that works geographically, but as you can imagine, an airport is fairly outside of the city because they're large. They need lots of land. So that would be the caution about taking the cruise transfer, is knowing where you're going to end up. Maybe they do just take you to central London and drop you off. So just be aware of that. And if you're doing it the opposite way from the cruise transfer to get to Southampton, you want to be sure that if you're going early, that they're going to pick you up from the hotel and you're not going to have to go back to an airport in order to get their transportation. But it is an option. More than likely, it's going to be probably between the private car and the train station option as far as costs are concerned. So always look into that. We never say absolutely don't go on the cruise option, but just make sure that you have all the information before you make your decision. My final tip for Southampton is that it's very popular to do 2 side trips before you go into London. One of them is Oxford. That's the famous university, the famous city and the famous university. It's where many of the Harry Potter exterior scenes were filmed. So when you go there, it feels like you're going to um, Hogsworth. Um, if you take a formal tour with the cruise lines, you're probably going to have a tour. If you just show up, you are going to be able just to walk around. It is a university, it is a working university. So, depending on when you're there, school could be in. And if you're there on a weekend, it's going to be very busy. But it's fun. It's fun. It's definitely fun to look around and think that Harry Potter is going to come around the corner any second. Another popular side visit is to go to Windsor before going to London. So, Windsor Castle is an ancient castle, or very old, from medieval times, and you can visit it as a part of the um, what is it, the Royal Registry, something like that. So the thing about visiting Windsor is you do have to get tickets, and this is another thing where you want to be gentle with your time, so you're not rushing it. Because if you miss it, you're missing it. That's just kind of all it is. Um, we went last time when we were in Southampton, and I would say, like, it's a pretty small tour. You don't get to see the modern part of it. Certainly, we were there near Easter, so there was no visits at Easter morning, but they did let people in Easter afternoon. You're not going to see the king and queen or the prince and princess. But it was worth it. It was worth it to do it once for sure, but it may be too time restrictive to do it on your own, or to do it if you have to go to catch your airplane that night. But the cruise is going to offer an option to do it probably. So think about that as well. Um, the train tickets again are going to be probably about the same, probably a little less, but there was a cost to go into Windsor Castle. It was not free, so it can be kind of a costly day, but it's something very unique, and it might be something for you. Well, thank you for watching the entire video all the way to the end. As I said, you can go use these instructions forwards and backwards depending on if you're starting in London or ending in London. We truly hope you have a great visit in the UK. If you enjoyed the video today, please do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, but it means the world to us as we are growing the channel. And also, if it helps you, please tell your friends. We know we're all getting to an exciting part of life where we're all getting to explore the world a little bit more. And we want to help you and everyone in our world generation see the world from a cruise if that's what they would like to do. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. We are happy to answer them. Otherwise, make life a bon voyage.